So, a while back I watched Shadowrock's video on which Battle Network games are worth playing. I believe that's the name of the video. So that one kinda got me thinking, well, what would be the definitive way of playing these games? Be it ROM hacks to make things a little bit smoother, the upcoming collection, using your physical GBA cards, maybe some emulation, or even the Wii U Virtual Console before it dies in a month at the time of this recording. So since I've been thinking about that a lot, I kind of just wanted to put my thoughts out there on what would be the best way to experience these games. But before we get to that, this list is mainly geared towards single player, but I will have a multiplayer little section near the end, so if you want to hear only that, there's going to be timecodes down below. And a second thing about this list is these aren't like in-depth guides for every individual version I will be suggesting. They're pretty much just going to be cliff notes, so you can get a nice little taste of what I'm offering. That is a weird way to say that, but I am not going to re-record this again. So, that aside, this list is friendly for both veterans and newbies, so with that aside, I'm tired of recording this. Let's go ahead and start this off. Alright, so BN1 is hands down the roughest out of all of these games. It has its charms, but it's still really difficult to recommend this to somebody, be it new or old, because it has a really bad case of first game syndrome since they haven't exactly gotten their footing with Battle Network yet. As an example, you can't run away unless you have an escape chip. And the one a lot of people like to mention, the internet maps, they're essentially endless mazes. And of course, the other thing people like to talk about, the Elecman scenario. That alone, I can guarantee you, if you go out and buy yourself a copy of BN1, it will either be stuck on Numberman because of number doors, Iceman because people can't figure out ice puzzles, or Elecman. 90% of BN1 cards that I bought are always on Elecman for a good reason. This game has a lot of gripes. It has a lot of problems that, if you know what you're doing, ain't that bad, but thankfully, a lot of those problems did get fixed with Mega Man Battle Network Operate Star Force. This version of BN1 does fix a lot of the things I mentioned before, and it does add a couple new things to keep it up to snuff with later BN games, like adding the star code, being able to run away with the press of the L button, no longer needing the escape chip, adding maps to make it feel like less of a labyrinth. But most importantly, the thing I've kind of been neglecting, the Star Force scenario. Even though it's kind of just a disappointing fetch quest, we still get access to Star Force Mega Man, and honestly, he kinda breaks BN1, since he has lock on, and he has a shield, even though it's a little bit laggy. For BN1, that's really good. Like, it's pretty much as if you had the Psy Beast, but with the shield. And another thing I kinda forgot, which I have been complaining for since the collection got announced. The drop tables, specifically for bosses. In OSS, if you fight a V3 Navi and you S-rank them, you will always get their V3 chip. In BN1, it's a 50-50 between the chip and getting like 2000 Zenny. I highly doubt that they'll fix that for BN1, since at the time of re-recording this, probably going to be saying that a lot. Everything about BN1 seems to be just, this is the vanilla BN1. So if you really care about experiencing BN1 in the most enjoyable and less rough way, go legally obtain a copy of OSS and then dump that ROM and put the patch over it. You're gonna enjoy yourself a lot more than just playing the GBA version. Alright, so BN2 is a little bit tricky because it depends on where you want to finish the game. Because if you want to finish at 4 stars, which is just the main game and the post game, then I would suggest going to the Legacy Collection and just focusing on the single player stuff. If you want to get through 5 stars on your own, I would suggest the Virtual Console release because it gives you the multiplayer chips, and that is a star. And as well, the little bonus of the event chips. So, with that being said, getting 5 stars also gets you hard mode, so that's another thing to factor in if you really want to get the most out of BN2. But a little bit of a meme answer. This one's for the veteran players. A lot of you guys know about Gator. If you want, I guess, a more challenging experience, maybe play the Mia Man patch, which removes the 7th letter of the alphabet from the game. Scripts, everything. So we're going to be fighting the Net Mafia Ospel. But it's a pretty good experience, pretty challenging. You can also apply the Virtual Console chip stuff to that too. So, hey, that's another option there. So, serious answer, 4 stars, Legacy Collection on your own, 5 stars, Virtual Console release, and meme option, Mia Man. Alright, future Yuki here. I forgot to put this in the script later. From BN3 onward, they add multiple versions of the same game, and honestly, in the case of BN3, it doesn't really matter all that much, but, still keep it in mind. It doesn't matter. Just go after the version of the game you think has the cooler Navi and the cooler library. Look at the Giga chips, look at the Mega chips, look at the Soul Unisons, Cross System. Just look at that, pay attention to that, because that's what they expect from people anyway. Oh, I think Heatman is cool, I'm gonna go get Gregar, so on and so forth. So, keep that in mind while listening to the rest of the video. So, with that being said, let's head back to BN3 proper. Alright, so the game that introduces multiple versions of the same game should make things a little bit harder to decide. Not really. The obvious choice is Balanced Battle Network 3. And if you want all the cut Japanese animations for the jacking in stuff and the Navi customizer, Balanced Battle Network 3 Plus. Which, honestly, there's just so many changes that I'm not really going to go into it. There's an entire changelog on its own for both PvE and PvP. But I'm just going to show off a couple of the ones that stand out to me. Which is, this is based on just base BN3 Blue, but you will have the ability to get the other Giga chips from White, as well as being able to get Ground Style from White in Blue, even though ultimately, let's be honest here, if you're just going through the main game and the post game, you're going to be stuck with Team Style and Custom Style anyway, so who cares? The thing that I'm really excited about, because honestly, originally this part of the script was going to be the Virtual Console release. And then I remembered this existed, and I started playing it on my 3DS. What I'm about to say is the reason why I put this in the script and why I changed my mind on this. Press auto installs. The second you get it in the story, you never have to put in your Navicust, it just automatically does it. That alone saves so much space and just changes my mind on how much I would enjoy BN3. I believe it's the same thing with God, I forgot what it's called. You know what? Future me, just put the name of the Navicust part is, using fire chips and using aqua chips. That thing. Pretty sure that also does the same thing. Gonna be honest with you, I haven't finished playing BBBBBBBBBBBN3. I just got really excited by that alone and decided to put this on that list. And honestly, no matter how much I ramble here, it won't be able to do it justice. Play Balanced Battle Network 3, because you can tell a lot of love went into it. Okay, so BN4 is a little bit of a weird one, outside of, you know, it being BN4, because I do have, I believe, like, at best, like, 3 choices. Because of the fact that it doesn't have a proper, like, patch that fixes things, it's weird to suggest, because there is sort of one, which is the mostly bug fix patch that does edit a few of the typos. I say a few because, if I remember correctly, the person that made the patch in that same thread said that they weren't going to fix all of the typos for BN4, so it's like, well, I can't really recommend that because it's still going to have some of the later typos, so it's like you might as well just play the vanilla experience. But at the same time, I don't know if I could recommend the Virtual Console release because, yeah, you get the vanilla experience, and you have the ability to fight base XX, and you also get the free tournament chips, but honestly, a lot of those chips are kind of bad, so I don't know if I should recommend that either. Honestly, your best bet is probably just playing the Legacy Collection, because at least there, you get the vanilla experience for BN4, because at the time of me recording this, we don't know if they fixed the script. They didn't change anything for BN1. I highly doubt they're gonna fix anything for BN4 script-wise. So, getting the vanilla experience in BN4, as well as having the event chips, probably your best way to play that game. Even if the Virtual Console release just gives you the multiplayer stuff, and even if the mostly bug fix patch is pretty much just gives you everything the Legacy Collection gives you, with a few minor typo fixes, I kind of don't feel comfortable just recommending that, because some of those typos are still there, so you might as well just play the vanilla game. So I'm kind of rambling at this point again, so I guess just play the Legacy Collection version, because honestly, that might just be your best way of playing it single player. This shouldn't be a surprise for anybody. The BN5 option is Double Team DS, mostly cause it just gives you both versions of BN5 in one cart and 2 save files, something no other BN game does. I'm looking at you, OSS. But anyway, it does give us the cut Japanese maps, it beefs up the party battle system that was in the GBA release, and before anybody wants to, actually, no, it was in the GBA release. It was locked behind the progress chip gate, which I owned. It's bad, and just like the party battle system on GBA, it's bad since you can't exactly power up your Navi. They're stuck on the same like default level 1 status, which very bad. They're useless. But onto the good features. It's a DS game, so it can read from the GBA slot. So if you have Boktai 2, for the 5 people that have Boktai 2, hi, I'm one of those 5 people, we get Soul Cross. And if we have Battle Network 1 through 5, we get a few perks here and there, which I'm not going to go into. I'll have a link to all those perks down below. But I will talk about one perk that's really good. Depending on the game, we get a different remix, which personally shouldn't be that much of a surprise. My favorite, the BN4 remix, it goes way too hard for no reason. But that's not the best feature in this game. The best feature in this game is the maps you have to find and unlock. In all seriousness, the transport chip. Like, we get to pick and choose which Navi we want on our team. Like, we get to create our preferred Navi team. Oh, I'm playing Colonel, but for some weird reason, I want Magnet Man. Just slap in a transfer chip, you're done. Ah man, Number Man kinda sucks for fights. I need somebody that can attack. Transport chip, Search Ran's your man. Kinda ran out of some stuff to say, cause again, not super in depth. So let's move on to the next game. Alright, so BN6 is another weird one because the two recommendations that I had in mind kind of just do the same thing. It just mostly depends on, I guess, where you're gonna play it. Because my first suggestion was gonna be the English translation with the Virtual Console stuff. And playing it on emulator, that way you can have access to the Beastlink gate and all that shenanigans. Which honestly, the Beastlink gate is very fun and very good. So now on to the second suggestion, which was probably just a Legacy Collection, because say it with me guys, at the time of me recording this, it's the Japanese version. We still don't know if they cut out the Boktai stuff, which if they're playing on the Japanese version, they probably already have the Boktai stuff still intact. So honestly, the Virtual Console stuff isn't really that big of a bonus anyway, because it's just the opposite version chips, and a lot of those chips aren't super good. So we're pretty much just comparing the exact same thing. It mostly just depends on, okay, if you're going to be emulating this, then have the added bonus of, hey, I can do the Beastlink gate stuff. Or if you're on real hardware, same thing, the Beastlink gate stuff with the homebrew gate or actual, if you're lucky enough to have an actual Beastlink gate. I guess the only real perk for the Virtual Console would be the e-reader job cards, which, again, we don't know if we're going to have e-reader cards to begin with in any of these games, but I would assume we should have them, since some of those cards give jobs that give rewards. Beautiful sentence, I know. Such as, like, I think one of them gives, like, HP 300 in, like, a certain color. Could be wrong, but you get the idea. Some of those rewards from those cards are pretty good, and they went through the trouble of adding them in the Virtual Console release, so I would see them adding it to the Legacy Collection. So I guess in this case, it ultimately just boils down to, do you want to use the Beastlink gate? If you do, play the English translation with the Virtual Console patch on MGBA or real hardware. And if you don't want to use the Beastlink gate stuff, then play in the Legacy Collection. Alright, the multiplayer stuff. Honestly, this isn't really a suggestion of either or. It's more along the lines of, honestly, you're better off just using both. Which is the Legacy Collection, because that just has online built in, and Tango, which is Battle Network with rollback netcode. And again, like I've said several times throughout this video, at the time of me recording this, we don't know if the Legacy Collection has rollback. And honestly, even if it did, Tango is still the better option, strictly because if you go into the N1GP, download a save file, it's going to have everything unlocked. You're going to have 99 copies of every chip, 9 copies of every Navicus program, so on and so forth. A lot of the grinding that you would normally do in the collection is just completely negated. You can just pick up and play and do a couple matches, as opposed to the collection where you just need to grind everything yourself. Which, we're Battle Network fans, we're crazy, we're gonna do that nonsense anyway, but for more impatient people, Tango's probably the better option, especially since we just have a community that's just using that weekly. Hell, at the time of me like speaking, there's probably like matches going on right now. So honestly, in the case of multiplayer, one does not replace the other. For me, they go in hand. Also, you know, the collection has that ranked mode, so hey, that might be fun. But yeah, both options together are good. With all of that being said, these are just my suggestions. They're not exactly the end-all be-all, since even then, I didn't go super in-depth with these suggestions. They were more like a little bit of really bad bullet points, but you get the idea. Because BN6 alone has a lot of ROM hacks, and hey, maybe you don't feel like using the English translation. Maybe you want to play the MRE patch, for example, or even the Themius patch. That can be your way of playing BN6. Like, your definitive way of playing it. I doubt that, but it's an option. You're an individual, it could be just for you. But with all of that, you can tell this is me being off script and kind of a last minute recording. But yeah, just want to thank everybody for watching, because I just wanted to put my ideas out there, since at the time of me recording this, and if I put this out on time, we're a little bit into like maybe like a month and a week until the collection comes out. So just wanted to put that out there, because I wouldn't mind hearing what your definitive way of playing BN, and just to throw it out there, on what consoles. It could be like just emulation, actual hardware, whatever you want. I kind of want to like maybe start up a discussion with this, because I want to see other people's opinion on this, since like even the collections, those may not be the definitive way for people to play this. But I'm kind of rambling more so than usual at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop right there, because I need to slap this onto Vegas and upload this and have this out before March 1st, which hopefully I do that. So have a nice day. I hope everything goes well for you this month, because we are relatively close to the collection, and that feels really good to say. Battle Network fans are eaten for once in a good long time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.